Peace and blessings, y'all. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the Ankh Living podcast with your host, yours truly, the one and only KiMu JTD. And this is where we are going to change life be lifing to we just live in life. And we're going to do that by changing the words that we use on an everyday basis. We're taking the words we use and changing the pictures that are going on in our head, changing the conversations that are going on in our head. So make sure you go ahead and you download, do everything you need to do to make sure that you get tuned into this podcast every single week. All right. So to get into it, we are going to talk about something that I feel like it hits a lot of people, especially in their mid 20s to mid 30s, depending on where you are in your life. And I want to ask y'all a question before we really get into it. And the question is, have you ever felt like you were stuck in life, like you got these goals, or maybe you don't even have goals, but the thing is you're just not moving, it's not working for you, whatever you're doing, the job you have, the moves you're making, whether it's the friends you have, the money you have, nothing is working for you, nothing is where you planned on being when you got out of college or just got into your mid 20s. All right, so if that's you, hey, stay tuned because we are about to get tapped in today, right now. All right, so before I give y'all what I what I learned along my journey personally, I want to tell y'all a short story. And for me, during my journey, I especially my after I graduated college, it was it was interesting because I thought, well, number one, I never wanted to work for anybody. I didn't want to work for anybody since I was 8, but that was the only thing I knew, and that was the only thing I was exposed to. I wasn't exposed to any entrepreneurs. But it's interesting because in my mid 20s, I went through some interesting things. Like we're talking about mental health issues. We're talking about, and specifically suicide, suicidal thoughts, I should say, and depression. And also, shoot, and I was working. I became self-employed after I quit my job right out of college, and then everything seemed to either become stagnant or just go straight downhill. And it really hit me. It hit me hard because once again, that's not where I expected to be. I expected to be in a situation where I had my own business and I was helping people. And at some point, I found a new skill and I was like, oh, yeah, like I'm gonna make money off of this skill. I'm gonna help all these people change their life. And it didn't happen the way that it played out in my head. And I remember just thinking to myself, and especially in those moments of me being depressed and things just seeming like it was getting worse, I remember just being so low because nothing went the way that I thought it was going to go. I mean, there were moments where personally myself, I was so low that while I'm coming from Jersey into Philly, crossing bridges, like I'm just thinking, I might as well just drive off a bridge. Like life doesn't even matter anymore. There's a point where I was just like always in the clouds. Like I didn't feel like doing anything. I'm just like questioning, why am I here? Like what is my purpose? Like the society that we live in America, it's set up for everybody to fail. So what is the point of me trying to do this? Like I can't get ahead. And I had to take there came a changing point, especially when I got into personal development, which personally I think personal development, listening to audio tapes, it really changed the whole, I'm not going to say it changed the trajectory of my life, but it changed the trajectory in which I saw things. So, you know, me me going through that really, and then coming into personal learning about personal development, it started getting some things going in which it's going to prompt the topic of today's conversation. And this word, it's really two words, and the reason why it's two words is because they're opposites of each other. The one word is inertia. You probably haven't heard this outside of physics class, but the opposite word is momentum. And these two words go hand in hand, and I'm going to help you focus more on one so you can stay out of the other. That's the point of this episode. The first one I want to talk about is inertia. And that's the essentially the realm in which the question that I asked in the beginning it goes into, because if you don't know what inertia is a state of being in which any object at rest and remains at rest until an outside force is placed upon it. So essentially, like, just think about it. You got a ball just sitting on the ground, or you got a rock or whatever. That ball or rock needs to be pushed. The inertia is on that ball or rock. It's not moving. It's not going anywhere. It's staying put. No momentum. Then we go to the other side, which is momentum. And that is just an object moving forward. That is a state of being for any object going forward. Now, I'm not saying that you're an object, of course, but I mean, these definitions, they are in every single aspect of life. Like, everybody's good. Everybody feels great when life is moving, especially in the direction in which they wish to be going. But most people are getting upset and getting depressed or distraught or whatever, distressed, whatever words you wish to choose to describe your state of being when you feel like you're in inertia, is you feel like life is just not moving. It's because you don't have any momentum, or you think that you don't have any momentum. But I mean, you're here because we're talking about mindset. So if you think, so shall it be, right? If you feel and think that you have no momentum, you have placed inertia upon yourself, in which that can be very dangerous, because you can end up going down into the downward spiral in which I went through, of depression, suicide, feeling like you don't matter in your life, like your life doesn't matter, all of those things. And you don't want to get there. I want to help you. If you're in it, I want to help you get out of it. And if you're not, and if you have not been in a long time, I want to help you stay out of it. So this is why we're here. I want to give y'all an equation though, and we're going to break this equation down before I give y'all the tips, because momentum is literally the physics equation for momentum is mass times velocity. What does that mean? How do we quantify mass when we're not looking at a specific object? How do we quantify our velocity, and blah, 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 blah. One thing I want to tackle mass, because velocity is a lot more interesting to me. Mass for us as humans is our personality, our skills, our talents, anything that has helped us in our life to get us to the point in which we are. Well, we want to ask, what if I have no idea who I am, what my personality is? Okay, we're going to get into that. Well, also, what kind of skills do we have? We're going to get into that. Once we start really understanding the M part, the velocity will follow. But we have to make sure, because the M is going to exist no matter what. You are going to be what you are. You're going to have your experience, the experience that you've had, in your entire life. You have the background. You are you. And we can't take that away. So the mass is going to always exist. But the difference between inertia and momentum is your velocity. Your existence already is, but it's the velocity. And we can either have, and velocity is interesting because it's different than speed. Like I had to learn, this in my life, and just going through my degree. Velocity is directional. That's where it's different than speed. You could even have negative velocity, or you can have positive velocity. Most people think that they're in inertia, but they're not. Their momentum is just negative. All right. So once again, let me repeat that, because most people are not going to get that. Most people think that they're not moving in life, which makes them feel like their inertia is right where they are, but it's not. It's about their momentum. Their momentum is negative because their velocity is negative. The direction in which their life is going, they feel is negative instead of going positive. And that has to do with your mindset. That's why we're here, because we're changing those negatives into positives. We're changing the words that we speak in our head, those conversations we have in our head, into positive, into more positive thoughts, positive words, positive conversations that are going on in our head. That's what I help people do. I help people take these statements that they say, these words that they use, and let's reframe them into something positive. Like I spoke about in a previous episode, Impossible, the reframe work. So what do we need to do to make sure that our velocity is getting more positive? Because you may have negative velocity, but we need to make that we need to make that velocity more positive. Well, one is we need to become aware of what's going on in our head. Like, that's always my first step. If you have been tapping in, this ain't your first time, you know that the first step is always going to be awareness. And why is that? It's because that is literally the first step to participating in any change in your life. Once you become aware, now you can say, okay, like this is what's happening, this is what it is, this is where I am. And now we can now start to problem solve, if you may, or just live in abundance of solutions, so that way we can make the change and even just reshape our mass, because we're still going to be who we are, but we want to reshape our mass. And if we can reshape our mass, we can also move, we may be able to move forward a whole lot faster. We're not changing our mass. We're just shifting a few things about us, so that way we can move forward. We're going to move on to the second step, and that's really just taking inventory of you. Once again, that's being aware. What skills do I have? What are my talents? Actually take time to dive into who you are, what your skills are, what your talents are. What is it that can help you move forward and gain velocity? Because once you do that, you can see what value you actually provide to the world. You can actually start helping people. Like I know I have a gift. Regarding my ability to use words. I know it's a gift because it's something that I've been doing since I was young. Like, I can remember me and my great grandma having a conversation, and the conversation we had. And every time I remember that, it's like, wow, like I was talking like that at 8 years old. Nobody else will ever hear that conversation, but it will always be a memory inside of my head. Then we go into the next step, and these steps aren't in order, but I want y'all to be open. I want y'all to be open to all the experiences that are coming your way, to all the opportunities that are coming your way. And actually, number 3 is going to be number 3 is I want y'all to go ahead, write your vision, and Write benchmarks or goals, if you may, that will align with your vision. That's important. Like, if you feel like you're getting up every single day and you have no idea why you're getting up, or you're doing things every single day and you're just a human doer instead of a human being, and I'm going to get into that, is going to be, I'm going to talk about that. But if you just feel like you getting up and you don't even know why you getting up, that me, you know what? That's a key sign of, yo, go get some goals. Go create some goals. Go create a vision. Get in this third step so that way you can make sure that you're getting up with a purpose. You're getting up with a reason. You have some idea in your head that you want to accomplish every single day, every single month, every single year, every 5 years, every single decade. Like, it's that people who feel like they're not going anywhere, that's because they're not working toward anything. So yeah, we're aware of who we are and where we are, but we're not aware of where we're going. And in school, we're taught, oh, where do you want to be? And we forget about where we are. So that's why awareness and taking inventory of your skills and who you are is more important than trying to figure out where you're going. Right? Like, you don't set your GPS. You like, when you set your GPS, it already, if you have it activated for you to be tapping into your location, you go into Google, you go into Waze, and you just put your destination in. We forgot that we have to be in that first step, which is, where are we now? All right. So now that we know where we're going and where we are, we can now start looking and saying, okay, let me be open to these new opportunities. Number 4, being open to these opportunities, being open to opportunities that are coming my way, that are aligned with my goals. And hey, shoot, if it's not aligned with my goals, thank you. I might have learned something. Like, you might be on YouTube watching something, and hey, you might get something from it. I actually heard, I forgot what video I watched, but I heard Albert Einstein actually, he didn't do most of his work in a science lab or in a teaching or in some type of classroom setting. He went to a coffee shop and he did things there. And what a lot of people are finding out is, when you work on your craft in other environments that are not meant for your craft, you actually learn better, you learn faster, because you're able to apply these concepts and apply these skills in a different environment and see how everything connects. Like, everything is one, everything is connected. If a principle exists somewhere in this realm, I guarantee you it exists in any realm. And that's how I'm able to help people, because people think that their problem is separate from somewhere else, some other facet of the life, and it's not. I always bring it together. All right. And then number 5 is going number 5 is going to be something that I feel like a lot of people miss out on. And keep moving forward. Yes, I get it. I'm going to promise you one thing. Like, even in my journey, it's going to be days you're not going to feel like getting up. You're not going to feel like doing anything. You're not going to feel like you are moving in life. Guess what, though? You're going to be moving, and you're going to be moving in a direction, and it's going to be a direction that you actually want. You just don't know that you want it. Regardless of the fact, keep on moving, and you will get there. We feel like these goals are so far from us. They're so much beyond us, especially when we look at our vision. It's casted out for 10 years, it's casted out for 5 years, and it's like, yo, I don't even know if I'm going to make it through the month. And that's perfectly fine. But when you're casting out these intentions, because that's really the key, keep your intention in mind and realize you have no control, and you will get there. I guarantee you will get there. I've and everything that I've done, everything I've accomplished, I had to learn to let go. And that's a bonus tip. I had to learn to let go. I have no control. I don't control when I get there. I don't control how I get there. All I can control is my movements and the fact that I get up every single day to go accomplish and meet with my intentions, meet with the vision and the conversations that are going on in my head. Those ones that are giving me positive velocity, positive momentum. Okay. So make sure you're doing those 5 things. You do those 5 things, I guarantee you, you're going to feel great. I guarantee you, you're going to get there. I promise, because I feel like sometimes the guarantee word, it kind of get misconstrued, but it kind of gets missed sometimes. But I promise, and I don't make promises I can't keep. You're going to get there, and you're going to feel great most of the time. Every day is not going to be, but most of the time you're going to feel great. All right, so I hope you got all 5 of those. Actually 6, because I gave you a bonus. And make sure you're just following and executing. All right, execute on everything that I just said. All right, so hey, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Ankh Living Podcast with yours truly, KiMu JTD. Hey, peace and blessings. I thank you again. I look forward to talking to you next week. And make sure you do yourself a favor. Go ahead and share. Go ahead and download. Make sure you can get tapped into this podcast every single week, because we drop every single Wednesday. All right, so go ahead and make sure you do that. And in All right, so I look forward to seeing y'all next week. Talk with y'all next week. Hey, peace and blessings. I'm out.